Hi, I'm Abby. Welcome to my craft land where we get up to all kinds of fiber fun. And today, do we have some fiber fun for you? So get comfy and get ready because here we go. We're diving right in. My first update for y'all is that I had friends over the weekend and we had what we affectionately call a cardi party. And that is just a time where we all bring over our projects that we're working on. And my friend brought her drum carder so that I could card all of the fiber, like the wool that I had washed. It was super fun because we also did like a fiber and yarn like stash swap. So we all went through our stashes and brought things that we were willing to part with and got to bring home some new stuff. And I'm very excited. Let me know if y'all would be interested in having like a fiber and yarn like stash tour from me. I'm happy to do that. So I got to work on learning how to card my fiber. Carding again is a process that the wool has to go through from being like raw, just sheep's wool, to being something that you can actually spin from. Carding is like brushing it out. It gets the fibers a little bit more aligned than they were previously, and they end up in these like big luxurious little pillows of delight. And I want to show you what I carded. I have 3 whole bats of this Harlequin sheep wool, and I could not be happier. Look how beautiful this is. Now, obviously, this is only the white. I do also have the brown, and I'm still deciding exactly what I want to do with that. If I do want to also card that up to try to spin it, or if I want to try to like felt it into different projects and things like that. Still a work in progress. But do you see, like, look at this. It's so squishy and nice and beautiful. And right, can you tell how big of a difference this is from the wool locks and pieces that we started with? Absolutely. So now I can spin with this and I can turn this into yarn, and I'm just so excited. It's so good and squishy, and I'm very proud of myself. It was a lot of hard work, but honestly, some feedback for myself for future. I need an assistant while I'm carding. Carding is an activity that like the carder stays on the table and then you like hand crank it. And because this wool was just farm wool, right? It wasn't, the sheep's wool wasn't grown to be shorn to turn into yarn. It was just excess and it needed to come off the sheep. It needed a couple more passes through the drum carder than maybe normal. I think each of these had at least 3 and some of them had 4 passes through to get it to its bouncy, cohesive self. And I overdid it. I stopped listening to my body when it was telling me, hey, remember how you think that standing is an Olympic sport and we can't do that for forever? Yeah, you should have listened to us. And so I didn't listen. I kept carding just because I wanted to like get it all done. I just got so excited about like, we're carding, we're doing it. Even though my friend offered to like let me keep her drum carder for a week so that I could keep working on it. I said, no, I'm good, and just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I paid for it. I was laid up in bed all day Sunday just because, yeah, my body thinks that standing is an Olympic sport and it just can't do that for very long. I at one point tried grabbing a chair, but then my chair on the table like wasn't an optimal angle for all the tasks I needed to do, and it just didn't work out. And we know now, and we've learned now, and hopefully we don't have to keep relearning that lesson every time we card. I do that sometimes where I'm just like, we've never done this before ever. We don't have any prior knowledge to bring into this about how we should care for ourselves through this process. But anyway, lesson learned on that. I either need an assistant or I need to be able to like go at a slower pace, take breaks, walk away from it, what have you. And that's how it goes sometimes, you know. But who cares? Because we have floof. This is very good. This is very good. I have no idea when I'm planning to spin this. I have like mad spinning energy right now where like all I want to do is spin. So a lot of my knit projects have just taken a back seat to me wanting to spin all of the time, as you'll see. So it's not never, but I don't know when it will be. But I'll keep you posted because how exciting is this? So exciting. There's no other answer. It's just so exciting. And speaking of spinning and bats, I have for you today this. Okay, so this is, I'm like talking about it as if it's a kitchen sink bat because do you see? Like, there's just a bunch of stuff in it. And in fact, I have this list here of all the stuff that's in it. This is a heather tweed bat in like the colorway Prairie from Bricolage Studios. This was a gift to me from a non-spinner, and I'm really impressed that my friend picked this out for me as a gift because there's just a lot going on, and I've never spun with something like this before. And I was excited for the opportunity to just like try something new. So this has merino, Corriedale, CVM, Tussa silk, silk noils, and Angelina. Angelina is the little sparkly bits. I'm not sure how well that comes through on the camera. But yeah, I wasn't ready to start one of my bigger spinning projects yet, and I just wanted to get a little taste of something. So this was originally a 2-ounce bat. This is all that's left, which is about a little under 20 grams left of floof. And I worked on spinning that up this week. I was originally planning to make a 3-ply yarn, but as I was spinning it, I just wasn't enjoying it at all. So I stopped after 2 plies and plied it up. I'll show you the finished plied yarn in just a second. The thing I didn't like about it was just that like I didn't feel like I had the level of skill that I wanted to be able to like do this bat justice. And because the like noils and the different like pieces of silk aren't as blended into the wool, and because there's so many different types of wool going on, I just was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. And you know, like there's not a magic like, yes, you're doing this so perfectly type thing, but it was really like hard, and then it was going to turn out slubby anyway because of the little like neps in it and things like that. And it also has like a this feeling to it. I don't know. It just makes my fingers want to go like this. I don't know if that's the lanolin because I haven't washed it yet and like set it to see if that like changes or goes away. But as I was like playing with it, I just was like, oh, I don't know. And then my friend recommended that I spin from the fold, which is basically where you like take a little piece and you essentially spin from here instead of one of the ends like I normally would. And I tried that, but I still had the same problem of it was just wanting to pull the pieces of silk out all at once. And so I didn't really feel like it was getting as like integrated into the yarn, but maybe that wasn't ever supposed to be the point because look at it. It's not exactly like it's this like super blended thing. Like you can clearly see where there's wool and where there's bits of things. But again, like I'm not like, oh my God, I can't believe my friend got me this. Like, no, absolutely not. I am excited that I got to learn something more, and I still have this. So if I do ever want to come back to it, I absolutely can. And how else are you supposed to learn if you don't try it and find out? like I said, I spun a 2-ply yarn. Here's my bobbin. And you can see like there are just a lot of neppy spots, little bits of the blue and some of that purple coming through, some of that like brighter yellow that was in there. And the yarn, like, I like the yarn better than I thought I would based on how my experience of spinning the singles went and dealing with the fiber. I don't know. I'm gonna put it on my nitty knotty. I'm gonna see what the final yarn looks like. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. It might become a gift to a friend to use as weft in their weaving, but I'm not sure. I haven't in the past like chosen knit or crochet projects that would be suitable for a yarn like this, but there's always granny squares. Like you can always make granny squares out of stuff like this. And it is really soft. It does still have that, like, I just want to do this. Like, I don't know if that's grease or just like the silk pieces. I'm not sure what it is that makes me want to go like this, but it's just, there's something on it that just, and it's just a little bit. It's not like my hand is now like dirty. I'm not trying to say that, but it just has that little bit of like this. I don't know. I can't do anything except for this over and over again. But yeah, that is my big spin project for this week, since the last time I saw you, that is. And let's talk about one more bat. Okay, so I was involved in the like Distaff Day gift exchange that my spinning Discord server that I'm a part of does every year. Distaff Day is January 7th every year, and it's a celebration of spinners, and so it's just another excuse for us to do a fiber gift exchange in the server, like what I had in my Tour de Fleece videos. If you've seen those, I also got to be part of a gift exchange there. And this year, my person who gifted me fiber, they sent me this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bat of fiber. Look at this. So this side has, I mean, it's like pretty integrated, but it's this beautiful emeraldy green, and then there's some like bright green bits, some orangey bits, and then on this side has like some blue coming through right here. And I am absolutely obsessed. From what I understand, it was mostly just the person saying, this is stuff I had in my stash that seemed like something you would like, because I sent a wish list of some criteria, letting them know that like my favorite color is green, and that I prefer a lot more like saturated tones like compared to pastels and lighter tones. And I think this is spot on. To anyone who knows me and knows my aesthetic, sound off in the comments. Is this not just completely on brand for me? I love it, and I'm so excited to spin it. And I think it's going to be really fun. But yeah, I just wanted to like share that with you all because it came into my stash since the last time we talked. And I mean, how could I not spotlight it in this moment, you know? One of the knitting projects I have been pretty consistent with working on since the last time we talked is I finally did cast on that traveler shawl with my plied mill ends, and I want to show you what I've got so far. So I'm on to color 4 of the, and it's like 2 triangles together, so I'm working on triangle 1 still. But this is, oof, it's not gonna like show nicely all at once. This is what we've got so far. You can see we are fading from this orange to the green to this like barber pole, raspberry, and white marl, and then now we're on black, which is like it's like a 2, so it's 2-plied, and it's black, and then the other one is just like the slightly lighter, dark gray. Here's the ball. If that will come through on camera, then you can see it, and if not, I just described it to you. I was in the habit of doing like 1 repeat a day, so basically to make this, it's just a however many row repeat over and over and over again until it's long enough and big enough, and you've hit the number of repeats the pattern calls for. Descriptive, I know, but I was in the habit of doing one a day, but then the thing is each time you do it, you're increasing so many times that every time you do the 10 row repeat, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, which makes it harder to complete the 10 row repeat in a day, especially on days when I'm like really busy or I just don't feel like it, because every time it just takes a little more mental power to be like, okay, I'm gonna do a row, which like, because the rows get bigger and bigger and bigger each time. Cannot stress that enough. And yet, friends, let me tell you about my mental game that I have to play with this project, because a lot of my yarns are about like this size, like especially a lot of the ones that I prioritized in the beginning of the project have been very big. Like this still has quite a lot left. This one is my other really big one, and the rest of them are all like slightly smaller than that. And then you've got this teeny tiny little one that I'm using towards the end because that makes sense. You want it to be able to like take up more space. But as I was knitting this, friends, especially when I was knitting the green, I was like, oh my God, this is going to go on forever. And like, what if now the whole triangle one of the shawl is just green? Oh my God, like I'm going to run out of like space to use these other colors, and I'm going to have to make like multiple shawls because I'm not going to use up all the yarn that I have in time to like, fit it on here. And as you can see, already that's clearly not the case. Sorry, I'll show you the right side of the project instead of the wrong side. Shame on me. Looks better on this side. You can clearly see that this was not the whole project. And if it was, it would be teeny tiny. And yet my brain is just like, we're basically done already. And like, same thing with the black. Like, I have no idea how far the black is gonna stretch. Given, like, obviously I have started to understand mentally that like you're using up, your yarn goes less far each time you do a repeat because they get bigger. That's just science, math, that's calculable. Dropping stitches, never. But at the same time, my little brain is also like, you're gonna have to figure out a way to use all the rest of this yarn on the smaller of the two triangles because you're basically done already. And I'm close. I think I have to do 5 or 6 more repeats maybe. So, but that's still gonna be an increase of quite a few stitches. So it's still going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm going to use up more and more yarn. And I don't know if that's relatable or not, but that's just my experience. That's what's been happening to me as I've been working on this. But I like where it's going. I like, I've stopped and I've changed colors when I feel like, when I know I can't get through one more row in that color. So the row changes are happening at the ends of the project, and that's really helpful because I like that it's scrappy, but I like that it has like neat sections. And so far I really like the color order that I put together. I am kind of checking in with myself before I grab the next one and just making sure that I feel like that's the one that needs to go next. And so far, no regrets. I really like it. So that's my progress there. I haven't worked a repeat in the past 2 days just because I haven't felt very well. So I've mostly just been laying in bed watching anime and chilling instead of knitting. And that's on self-care. But I am sure this will not be long for these needles because I'm having a lot of fun. And it's really exciting to be like, oh my gosh, and I'm almost done with this ball of yarn and I get to like pick the next one. So that's keeping me going for sure. Another project I started on this week since the last time we talked, I keep saying this week as if I film every week and I don't, is this little hat. This is a hat that I actually made back a while ago. I don't even remember when I made it, but still within the last 2 years, because that's basically all the time that I've been fiber crafting. But it was way too big because I didn't really understand gauge, and this is one of the gaugeless, this is a swatchless pattern by the Yisolda, the same person who made the Musselburgh hat, which is also a swatchless pattern. And it was just way too big. Like, Cam has a bigger head than I do and has like more hair and like coarser hair texture than I do. And even for them, it was like too big and it was unwearable. So it was just sitting in my bin of hats and other winter accessories. And I was thinking about just gifting it because I was like, well, surely it'll fit someone's head. But then I don't know, I just felt emboldened to frog the whole thing. And I did. And I frogged the whole thing and now I'm working on it. And I used up all of this yarn on the hat last time, and you can see that like I'm already working on the ribbing, so there just isn't, it's just not very likely. I am nervous that this hat is just not big enough. It just looks so small. Like, and the ribbing does make it tighter, but even like I feel like it's not taking up a lot of space on these needles, and these needles are 16 inches around, and I think it's supposed to be bigger. But you want a hat to have a bit of negative ease. Like you don't want it to like drape on your head. So I'm trying to trust the process and trying to be okay with, and if I have to rip it all back and do it again. We've done it before with hats and we'll do it again with hats and we'll keep doing it with hats until I figure out what method works for me, what patterns work for me, what gauge works for me. But I really like this yarn. Cam actually picked this one out and it's not even purple and blue. So interesting, right? But I really like it. It's called Plentiful Harvest. That's the name of the, no, Plentiful Bounty. Wow, I just said that so confidently and then was wrong. It's called Plentiful Bounty and it's by Bridiculous Yarns. And it's really pretty. It's a DK weight superwash yarn. And I really like working with it. I like the color changes. I like the color palette. It's very autumn harvest. And that's my progress. You'll probably see this done in soon times because I'm just working on it so quickly. And then of course also like I think it'll block back out because even though I had to steam block the yarn to start working with it again, and you can see it's still pretty kinked even though I steam blocked it, I think it'll block out again and I can like stretch shape it if I need to puff out a little bit more. But yeah, that's my project from a frog. And now let's talk about the big frog in the room. When last we spoke, I was talking about this right here, this freaking huge brioche cardigan panel. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And listen, I consulted people with more knowledge than me. And they pointed out to me, rightly so, this pattern is not size inclusive and it is just weird because it's written so that the size small and the size medium have the same like circumference. And that just doesn't make sense. So like it's the same distance around for a size small and a size medium, which is a main place where other patterns have the most dynamic change in sizes, right? Like that's kind of the whole point is most of them like a lot of garment patterns like revolve around the bust circumference and things like that. And if it's the same for the small and the medium, what hope did I have? I don't understand how that was supposed to work. So went back to the drawing board, dug through a bunch of brioche and half fisherman's rib and all other kinds of brioche-esque patterns on Ravelry. And I found this one right here. Now, this one was also one I was originally thinking about doing. I just didn't feel confident that I could figure out how to do 2-color brioche in this pattern because it's one color and I wanted like explicit instructions in how to do it. And the pattern that I made this out of was free in a magazine that I got for like 50 cents. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with the one that explicitly tells me how to do the 2-color, how to do yarn allotments for the 2-color, and like, you know, when to switch, whatever. But now I feel like I kind of have the hang of this. I feel more empowered to like struggle through that and figure that out. So that's good. Learned from this. But yeah, okay, so like I decided all of that stuff. I still haven't frogged it. I've just been feeling really scared to frog this because this was a lot of work. Put a lot into this. If I do like this, is that better? I put a lot of work into this and it's a lot to frog. It's going to get messy. And I don't know, it's just been like on my needles and I need to do it. So will you be brave with me and help me start frogging this? Ready? Okay, first, we're gonna pull it off the needles. We're gonna do it. We're doing it. Oh, before I do this, fake out. I did steam block the like top part of it just because I wanted to see how it would relax, because the gauge that I was knitting for this pattern is slightly tighter than the gauge that the other pattern has. So I just wanted to see what was happening. And with steam blocking, I did get it to relax just a little bit. And that's, I think, going to be true even if I wet blocked it. So I feel confident with the gauge that I'm getting, and I'm ready to like switch over, so I don't need this anymore. I got everything that I needed to get from this. So now we just have to emotionally say goodbye. Ready? Here we go. We're doing it. We're doing it. Ugh. This is not a drill. It's happening. It's happening. Ah! Need to not lose my little stitch markers because they're so small. Okay, okay, okay. It is off the needles, officially just loose. I need to get Cam to help me unwind all this because it's 2-color and this is going to be a nightmare. But we've taken a crucial first step. I'll rip back some of these just to prove that I'm committed to doing it. As if you needed proof. I already took it off the needles. I feel like that is the whole thing at that point. That was the crucial first step that's now going to just lead us onward. Okay, but I also don't want to frog so much of it that I can't wind all this back up. But yeah, I will wind all this back up. I'll steam block it to get it to relax, and then I'll be looking to cast on the new pattern soonish, because again, I've got other cardigans with yarn waiting and I can't get to them until this one is at least farther along. But again, my strategy is when I'm feeling like, oh, I just really want to cast on something, but my new mechanism says I can't because I've already got this cardigan, I just swatch and I take notes on my swatch, and that really does help. So we'll try that. But yeah, that's my second frog project of this time period. A lot of frogs, a lot of bats, and maybe a dinosaur, because last time I showed you my finished groat meal yarn, and I got into that this week and swatched it up to see what it was going to do. Now, recall, I was planning on doing something with texture and wanting to like swatch to see how well this yarn would hold up to texture. And then if not, I was going to just go with plain stockinette and be very content with that. Like, that's fine with me. Okay, I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on it and tell you about why it is the way that it is. Here it is, and this is my swatch. I still am figuring out where I need to hold this for you so that you can see all the pieces of it, but we'll work on it together. Okay, this is a weird little dude, and that's okay, because we learned a lot from the swatch, which is the point of swatching, ideally, so that you learn something from it before you're super committed to a whole back panel of a brioche cardigan and you're like, this is not going well. But that one, I really do blame the pattern. It's not size inclusive. And really that, like, why would I trust a pattern that isn't size inclusive? I don't know. Like, it was free. But listen, we got to do better. Okay, so here's what happened. I started swatching with the needle size and texture, one of the texture patterns for the Staffin vest. And that's what's happening here. Actually, so everywhere up until this like garter purl bump ridge right here. So all of this was for the Staffin. Now you can see a couple things happening. Number one is that I was working the stitch pattern over a different number of stitches than I was supposed to be. So that's on me. That's why the pattern it's supposed to look like diamonds, and you can tell that it just doesn't. And that's because I fucked it up. I don't know. Somehow, somewhere I did something and now it looks like this. But what you can also see is like, this is a pretty drapey fabric. in terms of like it's a pretty wide, loose gauge. But then something happened with my yarn because my yarn isn't super consistent. And even though this was all knit with the same needles, you can tell that there's a clear difference between the like thickness of the yarn here and how it's lining up. And then you can see it clearly like trapezoids in here and is smaller up here. And that is, again, just due to I hit a point in my yarn where it was just really, really, really thin compared to the rest of it for some reason. And that's life with being a new spinner and not spinning consistently and then plying it back on itself. So everything in that section that was spun thin didn't get plied with something that was bigger. It got plied on itself because I chain plied it. All of that to say, we got a weird little guy. And then I was like, okay, so clearly we've learned that there's a lot of inconsistency in my yarn, and that's something we're going to anticipate. And even though this pattern is fucked up because I fucked it up, I still just didn't like how the texture was looking with this yarn in particular. And so remember, I was concerned about like with the natural like marling of the yarn, the different colors involved, will I feel good about like these little tiny details? And I don't feel like they're super visible. Like I don't feel like they have that like stitch definition, that pop that you really would want for small like texture details like this. So I wasn't feeling it. And then I was like, okay, well, let's do a plain stockinette vest. And then I switched to swatching for the Avenue vest by Tori Yu. And that's what's happening up here. So I changed needle size. So again, this is knit with, I think this was like a 5mm needle, and this I think is a 4mm needle, I'm pretty sure. And they look like the same width because of the yarn. But you can see that this, hopefully you can see that this is like a much denser fabric than here. And even here, like this is super drapey, and this is a lot more compact, which I actually like. Like I like that this is a really dense fabric. I feel like this is going to be really cool. So that's what I decided to go with. I'm going with a plain stockinette vest, and specifically the Avenue vest by Tori Yu. Have not casted it on yet. I do have a vest slot available, so if I wanted to, I could. But like I said, I've been in a spinning mood lately, so I've been trying to do prep for spinning projects right now rather than trying to cast on knitting projects, which is okay. I'm letting it go where it wants to go and flow how it wants to flow, you know? But yeah, I wanted to show you this. And now we can put this swatch into the Swatchasaurus for safekeeping until such time as we are ready to work on this project again. Like, this is my hand spun. Can you believe? That's wild. That's wild. I do have one more swatch for the Swatchasaurus this week. This is Explorer Knits and Fibers. She did like a national parks collection, and this is her Acadia National Park yarn on her like Earthy DK, which is her non-superwash base. And I swatched it up because I went to Acadia National Park 2 summers ago, I believe, and had an amazing time. And so then when I saw that she was doing like specifically Acadia National Park, I jumped at it. It's a gorgeous park. Like, I mean, I've not talked to anyone who goes to any national park and was like, overrated. But still, Acadia, a favorite for sure. And I went with Cam and one of our best friends, Monique, and we had a lot of fun together. And so I got 3 skeins of this so that each of us could have a project made out of this Acadia yarn to kind of remember the trip together, even though it was like several summers ago and this yarn just came out. I still think it's fine, and I'm really happy with it. You know, sort of muted dustiness of this palette isn't something that I'm normally drawn to, but that's okay. I made Monique a present with it that I sent her for her home It was like a crocheted like tapestry wall hang of like a sun and some hills that I got to incorporate some of my other hand spun in. Did I take a picture of it? No. Did I think, oh, maybe you all want to see that? No. I finished it, put it in a pile for a while, and then got the itch to just like finally mail out all of the gifts and things that I've been saving up, and then just did it. So it's a secret. You'll never know what it looks like because I also haven't asked Mo for a picture of it yet. I'll think on doing that. But okay, so I swatched because I do want to keep a swatch of this yarn because again, it's special. So even though I was going to be making accessories with this, which is why I was swatching, I still just wanted to be able to like have this and like, you know, maybe pin it on a board or something later. I'm making the Banks cowl and Banks hat for Cam out of this yarn. And the Banks cowl and Banks hat both have these like really cool cable patterns. I'm super early in, so like the cable definition is not going to be incredible here. But you can see it's got like two little tiny cabling things spiraling, and then it's got like these sections of bigger cable. And this is only my second ever cable project, so we're learning, we're growing, and we're doing. I have not worked on this. I did like all the ribbing and then the first repeat of the chart, and then was like, great, we did it. And haven't touched it since. But that is the plan for this, and I'll keep you posted as the growth progresses. But yeah, that's truly the last thing I have to show you this week, is that I cast this on and then didn't touch it. Which, like, it's like that sometimes. Like I said, I had a Cardi party. I got super into my fiber stash stuff, and I was doing all this other stuff I already told you about. I don't know. And again, I don't come here because I've like been so productive and I want to like flex how productive I have been. Like, first of all, that's a lot of internalized capitalism and sort of this like meritocratic idea that like even in a hobby we're supposed to be productive. That's not the point of the hobby. Like, the point of the hobby is to kind of break out of those capitalist mindsets about productivity and individualism, and, you know, connect with other people and just make something and be creative and make our own choices about how we spend our time and our energy, versus having, I don't know, somebody who gets paid too much money tell us how to spend our time and like what we need to be doing all day, so that we're like worthy of a paycheck, benefits, whatever. And like, that's garbage. Don't get me started. I won't stop. I'll talk about this all day long. But yeah, anyway, that's not the point. And I don't come here to sort of like brag about my productivity. I just come here because I like to share and I like to connect with you about, you know, what I've been working on and hear about what you've been making and what you think. And that's what we're doing here. We're just showing and telling with no sort of like value or judgment behind the amount of things that I've got going on. And sometimes it's a lot and sometimes it's not. And that is morally the same, right? If that is something that you also struggle with, let us be kind to ourselves and like break down that internalized capitalism together. And on that note, I think there's nothing left to say except for, anyway, thanks for visiting my craftland. You are invited back at any time. If you want to stick around, a like, a comment, or a subscription can help make sure that YouTube brings us together again. But until then, bye!